Good morning, everyone. Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. It's very early in the morning. We're going to be talking about the Russian-Ukraine war and a very serious warning from a colonel. And I believe this and understand exactly what he is saying, his warning. I believe that the United States is trying to get into a war with Russia. As empires fail and their currency collapses, their banking system collapses, everything at the same time comes crashing down. And we need to understand that as that crashing down happens, one of the most used tactics in government handbooks is go to war with another country for two reasons. You can hide a lot of what goes on behind the scenes with your country that's going wrong, and you can rape, pillage, and plunder the other country if and only if you win. And there have been many countries throughout history that have picked a battle that they could not win and they were crushed. I believe that the US is at that pride comes before a fall moment. This story is out of Zero Hedge, and let me know down below where you're watching from. I'm curious. Just put what country you're watching from. I'd be really interested to see if anyone's watching this from the Ukraine or from Russia right now. Let me know down below if you are from either of those countries, what is really going on behind the scenes, because I do believe that the Ukraine government, not the people, are lying a lot. So I think this is very, very important. I think that Russia is playing it very quietly. They are being very strategic in their moves, while the West is screaming and yelling and trying to hype up something that isn't true. Do I believe there is a serious war? Yes. Do I believe people are dying? Yes. Do I want to see it stopped? 100%. End of story. Do I believe this is going to hit the United States economy and possibly its mainland someday? Yes. Because remember, it's not just us picking a war with Russia. Russia has a lot of strategic partners around the world, and even the ones that aren't are watching how we're treating these other countries, how we are funding wars, proxy wars, and they are watching and they are learning to not do business with the United States government. This, I believe, is one of the most catastrophic events that are going to help take down the US economy. All right, here we go. This story is out of Zero Hedge. It's entitled, "If We Press This with Russia, It Will Reach Us Here in the US." Colonel MacGregor tells Tucker Carlson why the Ukraine war must end now. Tucker Carlson on Monday published an interview with former Trump administration official Colonel Douglas MacGregor. You know, I have to stop and say this about our last president. Do you remember type I do if you remember this interview where someone was interviewing our prior president, and they're saying, well, who do you want to win, Russia or Ukraine? He goes, neither. I want the war to stop. And the lady said, no, there's got to be a winner. Who do you want to win? He goes, no, there's no winners in war. I don't want the dying to keep happening. I want the dying to stop. I don't want to see anybody die. It's interesting when you see people come out of that cabinet, the way they speak is 100% different than their opposition. We have people in our government that want to see people die. They talk about it. They fund it. Literally funding a proxy war. This is absolutely heinous and disgusting to me. And every time I come on and talk about something like this, I run the risk of everything shutting down because they don't want a certain type of narrative pushed, and that is the truth that most Americans, by and large, just want to be at peace. They want to raise their children. They want to be happy. They want to be successful. But we have a very dark group of people around the world that are elitists that want to hurt people. They want this because when this happens, this kind of chaos causes them to become more wealthy. That's what I've been trying to teach you for 3 years, because we are going to use the chaos that they introduce into the country, into the world, economic collapse style, and we're going to use it against them. I believe that this will be the only time in Earth's history where a group of people, we're talking millions of people around the world, will be prepared for this. And as these elitists take advantage, the ones that own the media companies, the ones that can push a narrative to most of the public, we're going to be ready to take advantage. Because there's no way we can hold on to our country's freedom if we don't control the money ourselves. And for way too long, the central bank has enjoyed that. And we have to get to a point where we can control it. If everyone could do me a favor, because I know this is very early for me, and we have to wait the algo up, could everybody hit the thumbs up button and comment? Just a comment down the regular comment section of the video. And let's wake this up, because I believe this is incredibly dire, and it should cause more people in America to be preparing actively, because our government is trying to induce a war. Carlson begins, Tucker Carlson, with a bold statement. Pretty much everything that NBC and the New York Times have told you about the war in Ukraine is a lie. The Russian army is incompetent, they claim. Ukraine is a democracy. Vladimir Putin is Hitler, and he's trying to take over the world. Thankfully, the Ukrainians are winning. That's what the mainstream media would tell you. Do you agree with that? Yes or no? Just put it down in the comment section. Yes or no? Do you agree with those statements? I personally do not agree with those statements. I believe that is a narrative, a lie that is being told to you. Every false claim, the last one especially, said Carlson, adding, the Ukrainian army is not winning. In fact, it's losing badly. Ukraine is being destroyed. Its population is being slaughtered. Most Americans know nothing about Ukraine. MacGregor continued, adding that if they knew anything about the history of Eastern Europe, they would all say, get out. Because the wars and the blood and the hatred that's been fought over the centuries is something we can't sort out. MacGregor's comments grow more ominous in their tone as the discussion continues. Let me stop there and say that for years and years and years before this started, Ukraine was trying, and other countries, Western countries, was trying to get Ukraine into NATO. And Russia kept warning, do not do that. Do not do that. Let me ask you this. Just by a little random poll, type the number 3 if you knew that Russia's only warm water port was located in Crimea. Let me know that. Type 4 if you didn't. Type 3 if you did not know that. Type 4 if you knew that. And the reason why I say that is because most people do not understand that if Russia is cut off from being able to launch its Navy for part of the year because of ice flows and the temperatures, it has locked that country down, which would make it very vulnerable to attack. Russia knew this. And they knew that if Ukraine joined NATO, that if then, after that is official, they say, okay, you're cut off, you can't have this port, Russia would have to fight all of the world. And it kept saying, if you do this, we will attack. And they kept pressing. They would say, if you do this, we will attack. Until finally they were pushed to the point where they had to defend that warm water port. Not only that, the history of the old Soviet bloc and the wars over the European area, the landmass over Europe, is so long, so dark, that this has nothing to do with whatever's happening today. But the thing is that the powers that be in our government, they know it. But the American people do not, and they're being told a lie. It says here, MacGregor's comments, a lieutenant colonel, right? A colonel in the military. Comments grow. I'm sorry, I don't know if he's lieutenant colonel. He's a retired colonel. His comments grow more ominous in their tone as the discussion continues. He notes that President Biden has enabled combat pay, which implies that there are American forces on the ground in Ukraine. That means we're part of this war. And I can guarantee you Russia knows it. It would be a mistake, he said, to think that the Russian forces do not know we are there, the retired colonel explains, pointing out that the Russians are sending a message with recent precision missile strikes near the borders of Poland and Moldova. If you think you can hide from us, if you come in here, if you cross these borders, we will annihilate you. And I believe that is exactly what our White House wants. I believe that our White House wants to be able to say to the American people that Russia has now killed American troops. Troops that the U.S. White House put there. So that then they can garner support for us going to war with a world superpower, a nuclear superpower. We need to come to terms with these realities because we can't defeat it, he remarked, reflecting on the fact that people have called him unpatriotic for his comments. How many morons do you think are out there in our country right now? Give me a percentage right now. People that are completely clueless. And I define a moron, and I want to make this very clear. People are going to, you're insulting people. I'm going to make this very clear. A moron is someone that cannot listen to reason without showing emotion. A moron is someone that cannot listen to a fact and contemplate it. And even if they do not know it as a fact, listen to something and internalize it. Think about it. Mull it over before showing an emotional reaction. That's a fool. That's a moron. I'm going to just define it right here and right now. If you agree with me, give me a thumbs up. Just a little thumbs up emoji. Let the people know that you agree with that. Because right now it seems like there are so many people around the world, and especially in our country, that do not want to listen to reason. Everything that comes out of their mouth is emotional. There are fewer real men in this world than simps running around just trying to please other people, and they don't have the confidence to stand their ground and stand up for their morals and their beliefs. He summed the situation in Ukraine up rather succinctly. If we press this war with Russia in Central Europe, it will reach us here in the United States. According to MacGregor, the smartest thing we can do is end this war now. Adding, the Russians will never tolerate NATO forces on Ukrainian soil. The Ukrainian forces are in. Well, let me back up here. It says, when it comes to the equipment being used to fight, MacGregor said that's a lot of the equipment we sent over there and is quite frankly obsolete. It's very old and it's not new. Integrated air defenses will knock virtually everything that flies out of the sky, he said, adding, we will then fall back on a nuclear deterrent, a tactical nuclear weapon that says, if you keep advancing, we will have to use a nuclear weapon. We don't want to go there because the notion that our so-called tactical nukes, it's just a little nuke, so that won't perpetrate or precipitate a nuclear war. The use of any nuclear weapon is going to precipitate an escalation very rapidly. This is extremely important. We need to wake up people now. How many people do you see flying the Ukraine flag as their profile picture on Facebook? How many people are flying the Ukraine flag in front of their business in America, have no clue what is happening? They are believing straight up lies. The minister of propaganda is alive and well in America, and we need to combat it now. How do you do that? You start to speak out loud over every social media account. We should be forcing peace, not war. The Western powers, the elitists, want to lock Russia down. Why? Because Russia, China, and the rest of the world now is fed up with the U.S. usage of its dollar, weaponization of the U.S. dollar. And so we are trying to attack and start a war to stop what they are doing. I think we need to stop using our dollar as a weapon. I think we need to become lovers of peace instead of lovers of war. But our country seems to be going down a wrong path, and it needs to be spoken out clearly. And I am willing to speak. Are you? That is the question. Are you willing to speak? We can't just sit around now and just go, everything's okay, everything's gonna be fine if we just be quiet. We're headed for an economic collapse and quite possibly a straight up shooting war between us and Russia. Type down below what you think about this, what I'm saying. Do you agree or do you disagree? I want to hear what you have to say because I listen to your comments. I want to know, I want to get the pulse of Ninja Nation. And I believe that this group is growing faster and faster by the day. And I want to make an impact in this world, not for evil. I want to destroy evil. This is not what God wants for us. The question is, what do you want for us? Stop thinking about the U.S. Stop thinking about just yourself and your family. Because if you don't think bigger than that, you and your family are going to be annihilated in either an economic collapse or a straight up shooting war. Hope you guys got something out of this. The Economic Ninja is out.